All right, next question. Pierre Leroux asks, I've noticed in the videos when you're deadlifting that you use the over-under grip. Not only that, but as you're working up to a top set, you alternate between left and right, over and under, and I keep switching it. Is there any reason why you prefer this over double overhand or the hook grip? Okay, so interesting fact about me, I am ambidextrous. If you do not know what ambidextrous means, it means that I am both-handed. So there are some things that I do much better with my left hand, like eating and brushing my teeth, and there's some things that I do better with my right hand, like writing and throwing. I kick better with my left side, I throw better with my right side, but I don't have a dominant side, and when it comes to something like the deadlift, I can't decide which side I like more, so I just switch it. I flip my grip every single time. Now, as far as why I don't do double overhand, two reasons. Number one, people who are doing double overhand typically only do it on their lighter sets so that they're working their grip more often. My grip is not the limiting factor on my deadlift. It is a limiting factor in some of the strongman movements because I have very wide hands and very short fingers, right? So when it comes to something for a pinch grip, I am limited. I struggle with those events. So if it's an actual deadlift, I struggle a lot more than someone with longer fingers. My hands are really good for hitting people. It gives me heavy hands because they are wide. There's a lot of mass behind that when it hits. However, for playing piano and doing other things, not so good. But in the deadlift, I can wrap my hands around that bar. So that's not a limiting factor. So I do not do the double overhand on the way up because it doesn't really do much for me, and I work my grip so intensively with other strongman movements. That double overhand grip, that bar is constantly trying to roll out of your hand, and since you do not have opposing forces fighting against each other with that mixed grip, then you can't hold on as heavy, so I would probably top out around like 550, 585 double overhand, and my deadlift is higher than that, so I do not do the double overhand. Now, as far as using hook grip, again, I have a little short, stumpy thumb, right? So when I wrap around a bar, if I try to get my fingers around, you can see the amount of hole that I have there. That's not a lot, right? So number one, I like my thumbs, so I don't do hook grip. Number two, my body is not as well built for that, so I choose not to do it. It's just a personal preference thing. If you like doing hook grip and you feel that you can lock your lats in better by keeping both your hands pronated, then I think you should absolutely do that. There is not a right way or a wrong way. The best way is the way that you can move the most weight as safely and as efficiently as possible. I hope that answers your question. All right, Roberto Palmieri asks, who are your role models as a strongman, coach, content creator, motivator, husband, and person? Here's the thing, man. I am not an idol kind of person. Even as a child, I refused to wear sports jerseys because I didn't want another man's name on my back. I was born and bred and raised to believe that if one man can accomplish it, then another man can accomplish it, and you should never look at that other man as somebody to emulate or try to be like. You should try to be the best version of yourself, and that's all I have really tried to do. So in strongman, I don't have anyone that I am chasing per se. I have people that I think are awesome, like Brian Shaw, but I think he's awesome because I have a personal relationship with him, not because he is the world's strongest man. As far as like content creators, there are people that I admire, and there are people that I would love to have the amount of subscribers that they have and be making the type of money that they're making on YouTube. But there's nobody that I'm really looking at going, that's guy I want to emulate. I think for many things in life, if you try to do things exactly like somebody else, then you lose your own voice. And if you lose your own voice, you will never be successful. You will always be a counterfeit. So whether you are trying to start a YouTube channel, then I would encourage you to tell the story that you want to tell with the voice that you have, that you want to give, that you will generate and you will produce. Because if you're just trying to copy somebody else, people see that disingenuous attitude and they're not interested in following that, and it's not something they want to be. So my entire life, I've never really looked up to anyone. As far as people who influence me and people that have changed who I am, I would definitely say my mom and dad are probably the biggest influences on my life. I love them dearly. I hope that I can become half of the people that they are, but I don't really look up to too many other people. All right, Matthew Martin wants to know, what is your most memorable lift? So I guess it was 2014, maybe 2015. Yeah, I think 2015. There was an event called Beast of the East, and it was a max effort, 4 events. I don't remember the other events, but I do know that one was a yoke walk. And at the time, my max yoke walk was 900 pounds for about 40 feet. And in this competition, it was a max effort yoke walk for I think 30 feet, but you could not let the yoke touch the ground. Once you picked it up, if you dropped it anytime within that 30 feet, then the walk did not count. And he, I think, did like 850 maybe. It was up there, right? And he walked it and he looked like he was walking with nothing on his back. So I jumped to 870 to try to get the win. And when I went to pick the yoke up, it slipped off my back, like moved a good 2 or 3 inches. If you guys check out the video, it's from a while ago, but if you look up Beast of the East competition, then you'll see this yoke walk. But it slips like 3 or 4 inches, and so I am in a good morning type of position with 870 pounds on my back, and I proceed to do the most brutal yoke walk ever. Did not drop it, got across the line. I literally thought that I was gonna drop that thing. From the moment I picked it up until I crossed the finish line, I thought there was no way I was getting that lift, but I got it. By the end, the movement of the bar, because it wasn't on a shelf, it was just sitting there, and I'm holding it with my arms. My back was all bloodied. It had been rubbed raw from the yoke. Blood was through my shirt. By the time that in 30 feet, I went from completely fine to bloody shoulders. But that ended up securing me the win, and that was probably my most memorable lift just because it was so miserable. So if you guys want to check that out, just go back on my channel, Ways, look for Beast of the East, and you will see that yoke walk. All right, Talib Nair asks, are giant sets workable for people who have been training for under 5 years? Absolutely. I would highly recommend that you get involved in that as early as possible to build up your work capacity, to build up your cardiovascular strength, because it's a whole lot easier to maintain something than it is to eventually get it. And if you are way into this game, and you're used to squatting 700 pounds and benching 500 pounds, and someone says, hey, let's get in this giant set thing, you are not going to do it, and you're going to become a more and more unhealthy individual unless you're making conditioning a priority on its own. But giant sets is a great way to get more work done in a short amount of time, which makes the gym more enjoyable, at least for me, because I do not use it as a social thing. I don't want to talk to people when I'm training. I want to work. So I would highly recommend getting involved in that as early as possible. I think it is ideal, man. I hope that answers your question. All right, Mike Alif asks, I tend not to train as serious or as hard if I don't have competition I'm prepping for. Any tips on how to keep the same mentality regardless if I have an event coming up or not? Absolutely, man. So a lot of people lose that fire, lose that intensity when they don't have something specifically to train for. That's why I think having a competition to train for is so important. But if you can create enough pain associated with not changing, then you can pleasure with staying the same, right? So everyone wants to stay the same. Everyone knows that they're surviving here. They don't really want change. If people really wanted change, they wouldn't complain. They would take steps towards bettering their situation. People do not want to do that. People want to just sit and be happy where they're at because they're surviving, they're eating, you're watching the internet. It is a very comfortable life, all right? You turn to a kid who is playing baseball in the Dominican Republic and has no chance of getting anywhere in life if he does not become a professional baseball player, and you are gonna see a kid who does not have a competition coming up but has drive every single day, is working to get out of there, to do whatever he can to overcome that situation. If you can create enough stimulus, enough pain associated with staying the same as you are, then you'll make the changes. You will always have a fire. There will always be the desire to get better, the constant and never-ending improvement. If you are comfortable in life, I would tell you to get uncomfortable, because the more comfortable you are, the less you are growing, and that goes for everything, not just lifting, in your job, in your relationships, in your everything. If you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, that is the game changer. That is the secret that no one wants to tell you. That's it right there. Create enough pain so that you're uncomfortable. Continually take steps. Do not make complaints. Do not whine. Do not do any of the things that all the normal people who do not want to change do. Take steps, get better, and you will become better. I hope that helps. All right, Adrian Palejo asks, How has your workout routine changed over the last 5 years? So for the last, since I say probably like 2005, I've been doing giant sets, all right? So it was always big compound movements, giant sets with conditioning. I've been doing this for longer than I can remember. However, I didn't start Strongman until about 3 years ago. So in the last 5 years, my workout routine has changed drastically because now it is all Strongman based, and I use the barbell movements almost as assistance or accessory work. And if you are thinking about making that jump, the only thing that I will tell people is make the jump to Strongman, even if you never want to compete in it, because learning how to move big, awkward objects, number one, is going to build up true functional strength, because when you're moving a couch, it is a big, cumbersome, heavy object. If you're moving an Atlas stone, it's a big, cumbersome, heavy object. You are never going to get asked to deadlift a bar for your buddy who is moving. Maybe you will. And number two, it is going to make your regular lifts go up just because it's different stimuli, different stress, you're hitting it from different angles, doing all sorts of other things that are going to make your regular lifts go up. So I would encourage everyone to do at least a little bit of Strongman. You do not need to compete in it. You don't need to go drastic with it, but try out some stuff. It is going to change up the way you look at lifting because it's a little bit more fun, because it's almost like you're sitting around with your buddies going, hey dude, I bet you can't pick that up and put it over there. I bet you can't. I know you can't. And then you go do it and it becomes fun. And it makes all your other gym lifts go up. So that is how my routine has changed in the last 5 years. Thank you very much for asking. All right, last question. So Chaz Schaefer asks, what has lifting most significantly improved in your life? I mentioned it earlier, but my mindset. There are very, very few things in this world that you get the chance to drive yourself right up to a decision point, right? And you can make that decision every single day in lifting, whether you are going to quit and say that's good enough, or that's heavy enough, or that's enough reps, I need more rest, I need to do whatever. Or the other fork in the road is you saying, I'm gonna overcome, I'm gonna be better today, I'm going to choose to push myself. There are very, very few things in your life, in your job, you typically don't get those opportunities. In your relationships, you typically don't get those opportunities. They may happen from time to time, but in lifting every single day, you can mentally push yourself to that breaking point and then choose to be better or choose to be worse. And all of that with measurable results. So 5 years ago, you can look back at a training journal and say, I was benching 100 pounds, now I'm benching 200 pounds. There are not too many things in your life that have that type of actual measurable progress. So I would definitely say it has changed my mindset to really just learning how to persevere and learning how to push. And that has bled over into all other areas of my life. So whether it be business, I don't think about how much work I have to do. I think about pushing. I think about getting better. I think about those things. There's a lot of times when I wake up that I don't want to do what I have to do that day. But I've realized over the years, and what lifting has taught me, is that there's always more reserves in the tank, and it doesn't matter how you feel about a situation. What matters is what needs to get done, and you do those things, and then your entire life will change. So I think lifting can absolutely change your entire life if you treat it the right way. If you are not gonna push yourself in that sort of manner. Whenever I post something about me puking my brains out during a workout, people are like, is that healthy? Is that safe? Is that blah, blah, blah? No, it's not. But it makes you better. If you're not pushing to that level, then you might as well go take up Frisbee golf, because your body's gonna get a lot less beat up and you're probably gonna have more fun, right? This is not a game for the meek of heart. It is not a game for people who want to be good enough. It's all about people who it's never enough. It's never good enough. You're always driving, you're always trying to get better. You're always trying to get that PR. You're always trying to improve. That is who this sport attracts. It can absolutely change your life. It has changed mine. I hope it changes yours, and I hope that answers your question. All right, so the April Q&A is in the books. I thank you guys so much for all your questions. There will be a May Q&A, but hopefully some of these were kind of enlightening for you guys. Hopefully I got to some of your questions. If I did not get to your question, you can always resubmit it. You might want to change a little bit, make it less specific, or make it less whatever. Just try changing the question a little bit and hopefully I will be able to get to it. And like I said, a lot of times I don't get to the questions because I just didn't have enough time. So I just did the ones that I did have enough time to record. I thank you guys again so much for those questions and for watching this video. You guys mean so much to me. Thank you so much. Until I see you later in the week, go out and do something amazing in your lives. Keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other. And I'll see you then.